was in action, I think, because it's like you and David, like the only men in the country that keeps up a license to walk up to the personal experience. Yeah, beautiful.
It's a family show, and it does have a huge following amongst children, because it's kind of secretly controversial, isn't it? I mean, I always find it more amazing that it doesn't get picked up on more, and people don't get angry about it in the Daily Mail. I would think the Daily Mail would be furious about it, because you've got men fishing, and you've got all this Christ imagery, and you've got sort of references to the political situation in America, and weapons of mass destruction, and it's all there. Why is anyone angry about it? They all seem to be fine.
I know, it's
you shouldn't get in trouble for that kind of thing.
And you do normally get picked up on, and I think, I wonder that myself, and I'm glad we don't, because I think that would distract from it. And I just there's a sort of charm about it. I mean, I think whenever we do that, actually, that's something I've written, actually, this queer as folk. If I'm writing that, we don't have a soapbox and say, here's a big issue. It's sort of like, you have a bit of a laugh, do it lightly, very seriously. But actually, you're not browbeating people. You're not saying, here's my message. It's like you introduce two old women sitting in a car and you say they're married. And it's absolutely harmless. It's actually rather beautiful. And it's hard, even for a Daily Mail journalist, to whip out 1,000 words on that, because they're going to look stupid. So I think we're doing well, and I think we're doing it sharp, and we're doing it with children in mind. And also, we don't do it deliberately. I think that's the way I write. It's the way Stephen Moffat writes. We just write like we're alive in the world, and this is what the world is. So we're not tongue-thumping, we're just being natural. So that naturalness allows us to get away with it, which I think is lovely.
I was going to mention Stephen Moffat, because I was going to ask you, if you had to guess what he would do with it next. I mean, everyone's saying he'll make it darker and he'll make it edgier, but also he wrote Press Gang, so he might just have a lot of roles for Dexter Fletcher in it. You don't know. People assume like that. I mean, I think this one for so long. But I mean, if you had to have a guess at what he was going to do with it, I mean, what would you think?
I think you're right to sort of say that because he's written our darker episodes, that doesn't mean he'll make it a very dark series. There'll be some dark ones, there always are. And, you know, he also wrote Company, with the sitcoms. He's the most brilliant, instructive, witty, insightful sitcoms. So I think as with Company, actually, you could never tell from 1 week to the next what it's going to do, and I think it's going to be like that. It's going to be completely surprised. Oh, God, I had some stuff the other day, and I was like, Gemma, I can't tell you. What did I say? Oh, it's brilliant idea. Because now, I'm not part of series now, so the interviews don't listen at all. It's like that. I heard something, oh, I cannot do that now. Like that kind of stuff, obviously.
No. But do you hear that stuff as well, John? You kind of...
You hear things, but we as the actors, we hear a lot of stuff, but then you don't comment on it, because also you're loyal to the show, or you don't talk about it. There's so many things that we have to keep secret during the whole course of the time. But yeah, you know, you hear things, but you just don't know if that's going to happen or not. And I spoke to Julie the other day about things like that, and because I want to know, you know, and I was asking, and she's like, she's big bluntly said, we have no idea. We're no longer involved in that way. We don't know. So it's going to be exciting for all of us to watch it and see what happens.
I was going to say, I mean, obviously the BBC has been hugely behind the series, and do you think of yourself as being BBC people? Do you feel loyal to the BBC? Is it something... Because there's been a lot talked about recently about it. It's hugely under attack, and people don't really go at it and people like, you know, arguments about the licence and stuff. I mean, is it something you believe in, or do you feel it should be changed and then you can believe in it more? Or
I do believe in it. I do feel, anyway, I obviously feel very loyal, because I'm just so well supported. It's like when lust comes. So up to 6 school, what is it like when lust? And it shows on screen, that's how we get support. But I am still a freelance writer. It's like, you know, a friend of mine once said to me, the writers should be leading the parade, they should be watching this. And I was like that last year. There were a number of lectures for Stephen Fry, so there were a number of lectures about the BBC, about the licence fee, about how important it was, sponsored by the BBC. And they asked me to give one of those, and I said no, because it's that I just thought I'm not going to be the spokesman, even though I happen to agree with the licence fee and think it's a very fine thing. I'm not going to be the spokesman for it because I don't know everything, and I don't know what options there are. It's like I'm going to keep my mind open, and if it's gone, I've got to work for the system that will replace it. So, but that's sort of irrelevant now. I think it's genuinely, it's like when Queen's Story was out again, I was asked to be part of everyday charity, everyday cause and stuff like that, and I'll help wherever I can, but I was very, very wary of becoming a chairman or something, or a spokesman or something, because I don't think I should.
I feel very loyal to the BBC. I mean, the BBC has been great to me, and they call me one of their faces, so I'm chuffed by that. Again, I'm like Russell. I agree with the license fee. I wouldn't stand on my soapbox about it because, again, I don't know all the ins and outs of it. But what I do know, what happened in the States with public television, they stopped the funding and they had to go to other methods and to use other methods to get money. And it really was detrimental to the program. So the one thing that the license fee can always guarantee, I think, is that you will get good, diverse, quality programming that you don't get on a lot of the other channels. And I'm like Russell. I'm not exclusive to the BBC, but I feel very loyal to them.
Right, BBC. I've got time for 2 more questions, and I'm going to start doing Q&A. If everyone can start thinking about their questions that they want to ask, and having been to lots of press conferences and Q&A things before, if you could think about making the questions quite short, if you're doing those big, long, rambling ones, everyone else in the audience goes, oh, you said it's your dad. So if you want to start thinking about your questions now, your short questions, then we'll be coming to you in a couple of minutes' time. But my last 2 questions now. And the first one is, I don't know if you talked about this before, but have you ever explained what the mongs are?
Oh, it's a terrible phrase that I never used.
Not what you think, though. I mean, it needs to be explained.
It is a
Those
phrase.
who refer to on several places, but I've never seen you explain what it is. And you might get in trouble.
It's actually from the Victoria Wood sketch, way back in 1980-something, where the marvellous sketch where Jim Broadbent was the doctor, he was the doctor's companion, they fought this monster called Crayola. And it was just a marvellous, fucking science fiction, Victoria Wood writing science fiction, Babby Island. And at one point Victoria Wood says, turns around to the doctor and says, Doctor, what about the monks? So that's where it's from. It's like, it's been abused since then. Not me.
I've never seen anyone explaining what it was, and I seem to notice it, but you might get in trouble at some point, so I'll try and help out. And funny, you were talking about being part of the establishment. I mean, if you were ever offered some kind of honour or knighthood or anything like that, both of you, first of all, would you accept them?
What not?
You go,
Come on, we just did that. You did. I think we do you know, they say 9 men. It's November in the palace. We'll have 3 people, boyfriend, father, 2 sisters. The war that is making out in my family at the moment. I'm not taking any of them. You 2 come. It's very difficult. But do you know what? I did actually think about it. It's not something I automatically let. It was a great honour, but I didn't automatically go, wow. But actually, I sort of thought, against I think about writers, it's very rare for writers, very, very rare for television writers to be in the madness of the fact that Andy Davies hasn't got that already, although I suspect it's probably turned it down, to be honest. But for that to be recognised and visible, and I also thought very good to be visible as a gay man. Yes, I obviously believe into the speaker and that. Then they published the full list of all the great he's got one. Hey, it goes my visibility. It's the Queen's going to the Queen. It'll be a funny old day. Surely King and John. Yes.
Yes. I can't wait. I'll wear my Virgin Atlantic outfit too.
What do you say? He's petitioning them. Yes.
On that note, I think we can start taking questions from the audience. Now, apparently, I think we need to turn the lights up, and there's going to be 500 million people running around with microphones. Wow, they must fast. It is. Wow. Okay. Well, the man down the front, I'm going to put 3 people in third position with microphones and then come and ask the question. So if we could have the gentleman with the red waistcoat thing on, and if we can have that little girl there with the green bolero toppy thing on there, kind of. There she is. Wave your hand at him. That's it. And who else should we have?
A little boy over there in the back who's walking through.
Oh, yeah. You're super keen. Wow. He moves about. Okay, the boy at the back who's just kind of really readily positioning himself there in a very obvious way.
I think so.
Oh, cool.
So, Aaron. What's your name, Aaron?
I am, yes. Hi, Russell. You did. Thank you very much for doing that. Just a question for both of you. You've both done so much in your career so far. What sort of professional ambitions do you have?
It's really my simple answer to that one. It's just the next idea.